Bulletproof Veteran Studios. This is Fantasy Mediocrity. Welcome back, everybody, to Fantasy Mediocrity. What a week. Wow. Winners, losers, we've all been there. Let me tell you, there was a lot of weird things that happened, some strange injuries, just injuries that came out after the fact, put kind of a looming cloud over week 4 for a lot of people and a lot of teams. But for some of us, maybe not so much in the betting world. Betting was tough. The spreads were weird this week, week 3. Poor Zuma. Man, she had a rough go of things. I think she went 6-10, dropped her below 500 for the year. But she'll be picking again starting today. So don't worry. My girl will be back out there. You know, dogs, they don't have 9 lives like cats, but they keep coming back for more, especially when there's treats involved. So Zuma will be out there picking today and making sure that you guys have that for Thursday Night Football. But yeah, betting was a little tough. A lot of spreads didn't happen the way we thought they were going to unless you did teasers and, you know, drop the spread or cross the zeros or something like that. You know, the Green Bay game was a weird one. That was a killer for a lot of people. That Carolina game was a big one. But again, winners, losers, fantasy-wise. All right, I was 3 wins, 1 loss this week, and even my 1 loss was a close one, so I can't get too mad on that one. It's not like I did anything wrong. It's just the way the chips fall sometimes. But again, I'll take my 3 wins, and my 2 big leagues, they were both wins. So that's 2 weeks in a row with 2 wins for my big money leagues, which is where I put most of my energy, and we're rolling. You know, fuck you, Yahoo. Grade D on my draft, all right? Number 1 in 2 of those leagues, so you can kiss my ass, Yahoo. I never believed in that grading system anyway. It's just whacked. But yeah, we did really well there. Our players that we kind of shout out each week, and we do our must starts or starts of the week or suggested starts or whatever, highlighted players, whatever you really want to call them. We did really well. We picked Baker at QB. He got you 19.7, so basically 20 points. Quarterback, especially this week, that's fine. I know some quarterbacks did a lot better. Geno Smith, but who saw that coming? If you started Baker, you got your 20. You're pretty happy. Devontae Adams, again, he didn't light the world on fire, but he got you probably just about 14 or 15, depending on your league. And again, that's very serviceable, especially if you popped him in at a flex or a wide receiver too. So you're going to be pretty happy with that. My one down one, I would say, was my tight end. I picked Laporta out of Detroit. He had a very quiet week. He only had 4 targets. He ended up with 7.3 points in my league, so maybe you were at the 6 or 7 mark there. Not the greatest, not the worst I've ever seen out of a tight end, but nothing to write home about. I'd say that was my low on my starts of the week. Picking Jonathan Taylor for running back, he got you 33.8, almost 34. Got to be loving that. So if you did that, you were really happy. My big win was the Seattle defense. In most leagues, you would have ended up with 22 points if you started them. That's a game changer if you're putting 22 up for your defense. And then Cam Dicker the kicker. Listen, 12 points. Very, very good. You know, if you're getting 12 points out of your kicker, anywhere in that 12 to 15, I'm pretty happy. You know, that's, again, the difference between a win and a loss for me. So if your kicker and your defense are putting up 22 and 12, I can almost guarantee that you won. Unless you had just catastrophe everywhere else in your lineup. So, again, we reset. We come back. Week 4. Don't worry. Everything's going to be awesome. If you made some mistakes, it's still early. Listen, folks, I know a lot of people, you see the memes online, seasons are over, they're 0-3, people have no idea what to do with the injuries. You know, it really has been tough. A lot of quarterbacks down. We got some now running backs are going down. We have some wide receivers that are still down, and we added some more to the list. We'll go over some of that and maybe some pickups that you can do and focus on. But it's early, all right? Depending on your league and when you start your playoffs, you got more than 10 games to go. You got 12 probably, maybe 13 depending on your league. You can completely turn it around. There's a lot that you can do. Listen, if your team is shit and there's only so much you can get off the waiver wire, well, then enjoy ruining everybody else's season. But for most of us, if you're kind of middle of the road and your team is pretty good, with the way the injuries are stacking up, with the way these teams are performing, we're not seeing the standouts that we usually did. I mean, if you have Patrick Mahomes, right? In years past, that was a league winner. Now it's kind of like, I got Patrick Mahomes. Geno Smith leads the league in passing. Okay? Say it again. Geno Smith leads the league in passing. All right, we got a new quarterback out in New York for the Giants. Jackson Dart is going to be starting this upcoming week 4. Do you take a flyer? If you got injuries, what do you do? All right. Marcus Mariota, all of a sudden, decided he knows how to play quarterback, wins a game. All right. Do you take a flyer? I don't know. But there's still a lot that you can do to stay in these leagues and be relevant and make a push to the playoffs. Because once you get in the playoffs, anything is possible. I believe that wholeheartedly. I've been the last ranked team, got into the playoffs, and won my league. All right? And you can too. Or you can be mediocre as fuck and finish 7th and lose in the first round. Yay. Listen, at least you're playing. At least you're out there. All right. We're going to get kind of right into things. But first, let's start off with our first sponsor, and that is Blackout Coffee. blackoutcoffee.com. All right. Promo code Bulletproof. It gets you 10% off. All right. Check out all their amazing coffees. Join their coffee subscription. I personally did that, and I got the Roaster's Choice. So I don't pick what they send. The roaster, whatever that specialty is for the month, they send it to me. And so far, have not missed. Awesome stuff. Their tea is great. I did that. I just did their regular breakfast tea, which is loose leaf tea. You throw it in a steeper, right into your hot water. Very tasty. I enjoy that as kind of a change of pace when I don't feel like having a cup of coffee, which is rare, by the way, but it does happen. They also have cocoa for you and the kids. We're getting close to Christmas time. I love having cocoa by the fire, especially once that Christmas tree goes up. My daughter and I, that is very important to us, so I'll be ordering some different coffees. There's different flavors in that. Their apparel is awesome. But really, just get over to the website, check out all the coffee, check out all the other stuff, the apparel, the hats, the sweatshirts, stickers, patches, everything that they got going on over there. That is blackoutcoffee.com. All right? You can't miss. Promo code Bulletproof gets you 10% off. All right, that's our first sponsor. And we roll right into what we have to take care of, which is going over our Week 3 hits and misses. Like I said, we did really well for our starts. I'm very happy with it. Again, for games that were kind of all over the place, when we kind of look back at our Week 3 results just in the NFL itself, we'll just look at the games first real quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time on how people performed. I want to kind of get into Week 4 and get you some advice for waiver wire and that, and I want to wrap this up in a 40-minute kind of bow for you. So, Bills took care of business against the Dolphins. We figured that they would. All right, Vikings. The Vikings just rolled over the Bengals. First week without Aaron Jones didn't seem to be a problem for the Vikings. All right, they did what they needed to do. Jaguars, big surprise for me over the Texans. All of a sudden, the Jaguars decided that they know how to win games. Who knew? I had picked them to be pretty much one of the worst teams in the league. So far, I'm wrong. Colts continue to roll. They just destroyed the Titans 41-20. And again, Danny Dimes is just showing that he can play football. He just needed to get out of New York, where quarterbacks go to die. But now he has wide receivers. He's got an offense. The defense is playing really well. I know it's the Titans. Okay. But these are the games you have to win if you're the Colts. And you have to drop 40 on them to show that you're a team. Commanders did what they had to do against the Raiders, 41-24. They're kind of back on the winning circle. That Eagles-Rams game, wow. What an ending. 33-26. I had the Rams going. That was one that I lost. But hey, that happens. The Panthers-Falcons dropping 30 on the Falcons. The Falcons look lost. They might be the worst team. Penix doesn't look like the guy. They have no defense. To allow the Panthers to drop 30 on you is pretty embarrassing. Steelers-Patriots, it was a good game. Steelers back in winning form. Aaron Rodgers looks like he has life left in him in his 40s. So be careful because he's up there in stats for quarterbacks. Again, if you have him, look at you. The big surprise, Browns beating the Packers. I didn't see that one coming. It was even a close game, low scoring. I thought the Packers had a little bit more offense than that. Bucks beat the Jets. They did it in normal Baker Mayfield fashion, winning at the end, 29-27. Listen, the Jets just can't close. All right, they're 0-3. They've had 2 close games, 1 blowout. They can't close the game. All right, that's the biggest problem. And they can't get a stop at the end. They've shown that now twice. Chargers-Broncos was a really good game, and Chargers took care of business. Broncos are just having trouble. It's also a function of the Broncos' schedule. You look at that schedule, it has been brutal for them. They right out of the gate playing very hard teams. Seahawks-Saints. Seahawks took care of business. Again, they are a real team. They are probably right now the best defense in the league. Fantasy-wise, I think they are the best defense in the league. I think they put up 18 one week, 22 the other. I think they put up 9 the other week. Listen, if you have Seahawks defense, which I do, you're going to be happy. Bears beat up on the Cowboys. Again, the Cowboys look lost. Now they don't have CeeDee Lamb, so it's even worse. 49ers took care of business against the Cardinals. Again, Marcus Mariota, look at him go. Chiefs, Giants. Chiefs took care of business against the Giants, but again, didn't look great. A lot of miscues. They have no wide receivers. It's just basically Mahomes and Kelsey. They still cannot get the running game going, and I think that is their biggest problem is that nobody respects their running game. Pacheco, Hunt, it's just not there. And it's making them very one-dimensional, which the Chiefs shouldn't be. And again, without Worthy, without Rice, they're not looking great. Listen, they beat the Giants. They're supposed to beat the Giants. That's not anything that you should be writing home about. 22-9. Listen, they did what they had to do. Again, the Giants are switching to Jackson Dart this week. And then the Monday night game was awesome. Lions-Ravens. It looked like the Ravens were going to take care of business, and they couldn't hold the Lions at bay. The Lions are a good team. Gibbs is amazing. They move the ball around really well. St. Brown is very, very good. Goff just knows how to play, and he gets to the open receivers. It's a fun team to watch. Their defense is pretty good. This was a high-scoring game. This was one of those ones you definitely took the over, especially the way both these teams have been playing. But again, just seeing the Lions being able to kind of persevere and finish out this game, expect big things. NFC is looking wild, man. Could be a lot of fun. I going into this season, I really thought the AFC was that's where everything was going to be. You had all the big names over in the AFC. The NFC, I was like, it's just going to be the Eagles again. Nothing big there, right? Not anymore. There's some great teams over in the NFC, and they are showing it early on. All right? So we're moving over. Those are your games from last week. So we look at what we have for rankings moving into week 4 and where, say, like a Yahoo thinks these teams are going to go and these players are going to go. So position by position, like we always do, starting with our quarterbacks. Again, you have the normal guys. You got your Josh Allens. You got your Lamar Jacksons. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is playing Baltimore. That's an interesting one because I think it's going to be high scoring again, or at least it should be. I'm not a believer right now in the Kansas City offense because they just haven't shown that they can kind of put up big numbers yet. So be a little careful with him. Obviously, you're going to start him. Brock Purdy is still listed as questionable, but he is not playing. He did get a limited practice in. We'll see. I think they're going to keep him out. It is true that Mac Jones had a little bit of a knee injury. He aggravated his PCL sprain. He was limited as well. So you have two guys that are kind of limping around. We'll see what happens on that one. And I have to do a little correction. Earlier, I said Marcus Mariota for 49ers. I meant Mac Jones. I apologize. I switched those two up. All right. Again, Geno Smith lighting the world on fire. I just want to click on Geno real quick and just see what his stats look like so far. Now, take away the middle game. I know there's only been 3 games, but take away the game against the Chargers because she only got 6 points for you. He had 23 week 1, 33 week 3. He's got 831 passing yards, 4 passing TDs. He's got 4 interceptions. He's doing a crab legs game. He's got the Winston. Jameis Winston used to do this all the time. He put up huge numbers, but he would have 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, right? For fantasy, he's still putting up good points. So, again, riding with Geno Smith, if you have quarterback problems, might not be a bad idea. Jaden Daniels, be very careful. He is dealing with an injury right now. I believe he got a practice in. He still needs clearance from the team doctors, so we don't know where he's going to be there. That was the Marcus Mariota one. He came in Washington and played really well. And he's been doing enough that if they need to rest Daniels, Marcus Mariota is a serviceable guy right now in Washington. So again, if you have Daniels, you might want to throw Mariota in against Atlanta. You heard me earlier, one of the worst teams in the league. So if you want to take a flyer on Mariota to beat up on Atlanta, you go right ahead. Drake May up in New England against Carolina. That might be a good start. Matthew Stafford is just an amazing quarterback. He always has been. But to see him do this in what probably would be his last year, a lot of people think he's going to retire after this year. He's had major health injuries, but he still just leads teams. But I could see him wanting to just win one more and then go out like that. And right now the Rams look like they could do that if they had to, which, let's be honest, they have to. They want to win. They're a win now team. Let's see what we got here. Dak, Dallas is awful. And now without CeeDee Lamb, I just don't trust anything going on down there. Justin Herbert doing Justin Herbert things out for the Chargers. They grabbed the Giants this week, so this could be a great start. It's not going to be my start of the week, but it could be a really good start. Jalen Hurts, they're playing Tampa. Could be a shootout. Be a lot of fun there. Kyler Murray against Seattle is almost a definite bench. The way Seattle's defense has been playing, don't trust that at all. Bo Nix in Denver, okay? This one is going to be my start of the week against Cincinnati. Okay, I think that Denver needs a big win, all right? Denver needs a big win. Cincinnati is on the ropes. They're not doing well. I don't see this being much of a defensive roadblock for Denver, and I think Denver wants to pile on the points to kind of make a statement, build up that confidence. So right now, writing it down, 4 quarterbacks, start of the week, week 4, first one, Bo Nix. All right? That's going to be the one I'm going to roll with. Some other ones just to talk about. Again, Daniel Jones, he should be in your lineup anyway every single time. Jordan Love, same thing. I know Green Bay was underwhelming last week, but look for the bounce back. Jared Goff definitely should be out there and starting. He'll be starting for me. And again, just to round it out, Baker Mayfield, he's questionable right now. He was dealing with a bicep injury, but I think he's going to be fine. He practiced in limited on Wednesday, so don't get too upset there. Caleb Williams, I am not a fan of. I know he did well last week. He got you 38 points. It was kind of out of nowhere. He had 4 TDs. Draws Vegas this week. I don't see that happening again. I wouldn't go with a repeat. I will say this. As much as I really am not a fan of Caleb Williams, his stats for the year are surprising, especially from a fantasy standpoint. Week 1, he was 26. Week 2, he was 21. And last week, he was 38. So as much as I rag on Caleb Williams, so far he's proved me wrong. I think against Vegas, he falls from grace. That's just me. And like I said, that kind of rounds everything out. Keep a look out for Justin Fields out in New York for the Jets. I don't know that you would start him anyway, but he still is running with a questionable tag, and they're going to talk during the week to see if he's going to play. He was dealing with a concussion. So, listen, if you're desperate and you're waiting for Justin Fields to come back, you got bigger problems. So you can probably move on with life and, I don't know, go play in traffic. That's what I would want to do. All right, let's move it on to our wide receivers, boys and girls. Come on. We got a lot of wide receiver problems. Let me tell you, some injuries that are out there right now, wide receiver-wise. Mike Evans is hurt. Scary Terry is hurt. CeeDee Lamb is hurt. All right. I know Jennings out in San Francisco is still hurt. Nico Collins has a questionable tag. There's a lot of guys that are hurt right now. But there are a lot of guys that are just performing, okay? Puka Nacua, you know he's the man. George Pickens out in Dallas. Jack Smith-Njigba in Seattle. All of a sudden, he is being the guy that I think everybody thought he was going to be. They draw Arizona this week. Arizona's defense has been okay, middle of the road against wide receivers. But Jackson Smith-Njigba has got thrown up 21, 19, and 20 to start the season. I would not have thought that with Sam Darnold throwing him the ball. Again, proving me wrong week to week. That's a good one right there. Jacoby Myers has been playing really well for Vegas. Look at him. Again, Nico Collins had a questionable tag. He was limited with a knee injury, but he did get a limited practice in. Definitely something to watch. Jamar Chase. Again, the situation in Cincinnati is not great. I have T. Higgins in a bunch of leagues. I don't have Chase because I didn't have a high enough draft pick, but I do have T. Higgins, and it has not been working out. You're obviously going to start Chase, but you might want to look other places with T. Higgins and things like that because it doesn't even seem like they have enough to feed Jamar Chase, let alone a second wide receiver. So just keep that in mind. Malik Neighbors, I am so impressed with this guy, considering the fact of the team that he is on with the Giants. He's not practicing Wednesday. That might be a little bit of maintenance, but he did hit that turf pretty hard, and he kind of got sandwiched between the turf and a defensive player on a tackle late in that game. He's always got little minor stuff, so they're probably giving him a little bit of a rest. It's a shoulder thing. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I think he'll play. Unfortunately, he just has no consistency. He had 12, then 40, and then last week, 3. He's amazing. He just needs to get out of New York. It's unfortunate because he's just started, but New York is not the place for him, unfortunately. And Daniel Jones proved that by going down and finding a new team with the Colts. All right. St. Brown doing St. Brown things. Drake London was back in lineups last week, and 10 points, nothing crazy. He's slow to start. It's really a function of Penix throwing him the ball. There's not a lot going on when you can't score points against Carolina. I don't know what to tell you. That's just going to be. He's going to find his way to the bench in most teams. Devontae Adams, we already kind of talked about. Ibuka. Listen, it's going to get interesting for him. It looks like Godwin might come back this week. I don't know that I would start Godwin until you see that he's going to get normal reps. But with Evans out, the timeline for Godwin obviously has to be moved up. But Ibuka is now a wide receiver 1. And if Baker is healthy and is in that game, again, Baker still has a questionable tag, so watch that. he's going to be the number one target, and you've seen what this guy can do. You've seen the catches. You've seen the one-handed grabs and all of that, all the crazy stuff. So definitely you want him in your lineup. Actually, forget about it. I'm going to go out on a limb against Philly. It's going to be high-flying. It's going to be points. It's going to be nasty, dirty, 1 o'clock game. Baker's going to want to bake. I'm going to Ibuka, start of the week for wide receiver. I know it's Philly defense. I know they're the defending champions, but man, I think this could be a high-scoring game. And let's go with Ibuka. This is the week he kind of comes out of it. And if Godwin is on the other side, it's going to free him up. And Godwin might be on a little bit of a snap count with his first game back if he does come back. I like it. I like where that could go. All right. You got Ricky Pearsall. He still has a questionable tag out in San Francisco. Tyreek Hill in Miami has not been able to get it. Miami's not a good team. Debo doing Debo things. Keep him in your lineups. Zay Flowers was very disappointing this past week for Baltimore. Look for a bounce back with him. Justin Jefferson doing amazing as always. He very steady, 14, 11, and 12, especially in that situation out there with dealing with McCarthy and all that and blah, blah, blah. He's doing well. Garrett Wilson, I just feel bad for the guy. He's an amazing talent. But he's up and down, 22, 9, and 24. And again, that's a function of the Jets. Tyrod Taylor, he did okay. Listen, Tyrod Taylor didn't look bad for the Jets filling in for Fields, but obviously if Fields comes back this week, Wilson's stock goes up. They're playing Miami. It's just two bad teams punching it out. Could get real interesting. Marvin Harrison Jr., I love this guy. It just is not putting up the points. It's just not there, unfortunately, and they draw Seattle this week, so definitely one to kind of stay away from. Love me some Ladd McConkey, and there's some other guys that are just, they haven't performed, A.J. Brown being one of them. I mean, he's done okay. It's just not great. He had a bounce-back week this week with 23 points, but he has 1.8, 7.7, and 23.9. So hopefully they're now going to actually throw him the ball. It's just a weird offense. They win games, but they are just not friendly to your wide receivers because who knows week to week what you're going to get. Cortland Sutton, again, I think Denver's going to bounce back this week, so Cortland Sutton could be another good one for you. If you have problems with wide receiver because of the Mike Evans thing, the CeeDee Lamb thing, and the Scary Terry thing, they all are injured. I will say this. You can look at, Trey Tucker is a big one that a lot of people are adding. All right. Thornton out in Kansas City is another one that a lot of people are adding. Let me see what else, some of these trends for wide receiver. Godwin, check to make sure that Godwin isn't just sitting out there in your league. Okay, because people might not have drafted him because he wasn't playing and they didn't want to do it. I was lucky enough to get him in like the 7th round, which was awesome. Might even been in the 8th. And I just stored him on my IR. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I wasn't allowed to. That's right. Yahoo didn't let me store him on IR. I had to take a bench spot because they didn't technically designate him. So I had to keep him on the bench, but it was worth it because now for the rest of the season when he comes back, I basically have a number 1 wide receiver. And I got him in the 8th. So that's there. Look at Hollywood Brown was back in lineups, but he didn't do anything. I wouldn't get too jazzed about him. Johnston out for the Chargers. A lot of people have been picking him up. So these are just options if you are running into wide receiver trouble. And we'll hit running backs as well here in a second. But with CeeDee Lamb and Mike Evans and Scary Terry out, Mike Evans, you might not have much of an option to do anything with Tampa Bay. You might have to look at other teams because Ibuka's probably already taken in your league. I can almost guarantee that. And Godwin is probably taken in your league at least this week. They probably picked him up if you didn't get him off waivers at least last week. Scary Terry, again, at Washington situation's a little weird. Daniels is dealing with injuries, and, you got Mariota, who played well last week, but who knows. So just be careful. You might want to look at other teams. There are options out there. All right. Those are your wide receivers. All right, let's get into our running backs. Okay. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey, lighting the world on fire. Let me tell you something. For somebody who gets made fun of so much for being injured all the time, he started off this season just rolling, and he's just putting up points left and right. Let me just see what his point totals would look like. So he was 23, 22, and 24. Talk about consistency. And if I'm not mistaken, he leads the league in receiving yards, I think, or something crazy like that, as a running back, which is awesome. Josh Jacobs is questionable. He has an ankle injury, but he practiced limited on Wednesday, so hopefully he'll be back in. He's been very consistent. Again, not lighting the world on fire, but he's 14, 14, and 12 in the first 3 weeks for points. All right. Achen has been awesome for me. I have him in my number one league, and he's been putting up just steady points. Very good, 16, 26, and 16. And they draw the Jets. So I'm hoping for big things from him. Bijan Robinson, listen, Atlanta sucks, but you're starting Bijan. It's not great. But he put up 25, 20, and 16. It's a little bit of a downgrade from last year, but with the situation down in Atlanta, you have to give it to Robinson because that's a lot of points for a team that's just awful. Awful. Let's see what else we got here. Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley, all these guys are doing great. Cook is doing awesome up in Buffalo. Jonathan Taylor is the man. Derrick Henry, listen, I always say it takes a little bit for Derrick Henry to get started. I'm a little nervous about all this fumbling. It's not great, especially if you're in a tight game and you lose a point towards the end. He seems to want to fumble the ball in the fourth quarter. Besides that, he's putting up points, so you kind of have to roll with it. Obviously, you're still starting Derrick Henry, you're not benching him, but it's definitely concerning. Hampton out for the Chargers with Najee Harris out for the season. He's the man now. He is the man. It all depends on what he wants to do with it, but it's his opportunity to run. That's a high-powered offense out there. That's a team that's primed for the playoffs. And listen, he's shown that he can run the ball, so we're going to stick with that one. Jordan Mason looked great subbing for Aaron Jones. What was his points last week? 24. So he took that mantle up and is running with it. So we keep with that. We got Genty out in Vegas. They draw Chicago this week. That could get real interesting. He has not really done anything yet, so I'm not there to call him my start of the week yet. It's a juicy matchup against Chicago, but he's got to do something first. He's got to show me that he can throw up 20 points before we start calling his name out too much. Jaylen Warren for Pittsburgh, he's been doing really well. Trey Benson is going to be the guy out in Arizona with James Conner now out for the season. So look for Trey Benson to try to do some stuff. Not this week, though, against Seattle. So just be careful. Don't get too excited and be like, oh, I found a waiver wire pickup. Let me put him in. Oh, fuck. It's goddamn Seattle, and you're dead. Scadaboo is going to be playing against the Chargers. I would normally say I'd like to see big things, especially with Jackson Dart in. But I'm not sold that they can take care of business against the Chargers. And I think they're going to be playing from behind a lot, so it's not going to be a ground and pound type game. Chase Brown out in Cincinnati's going to be running into a Denver defense. That's going to be a tough one. Alvin Kamara for New Orleans, just against Buffalo. That's stay away from that. Tennessee with Tony Pollard. And the Jets have Breece Hall. Again, nothing really that crazy just yet. My start of the week is actually going to be a little bit of a weird one because I don't like this team, but I like the matchup against New England, and I think he's coming off a good game from last week. I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard against New England, all right? And then it's not like they have 900 options to go to, so I'm going with Hubbard, all right? And I just like his name. Let's be honest. It's a great name. Chuba Hubbard. All right. His stats have been good for this year. 17, 18. He had an off week last week, but they were up 30-0. All right. But he's coming back against New England this week. I have a feeling that he's going to lay it on. I'm not saying Carolina's going to beat New England, but it's going to be a nasty game. It could be close, and there could be a lot of running, so Hubbard could do really well. All right, and then rounding it out, you got J.K. Dobbins for Denver against Cincinnati. That is another good one as a possible, second start because I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game by Denver. So if you don't like my Hubbard choice, my second choice would be Dobbins. Throw him in there. Get yourself some points. All right, we're moving right along. Boys and girls, we got tight ends to do, but before we get to tight ends, let's talk about our next sponsor with Better Than Booze. Pick them up at drinkbetterthanbooze.com. You get 20% off with the promo code Bulletproof. I had one on Sunday sitting with the football game. It was great. No hangover on Monday. They have THC models. They got CBD. They have just straight nothing. If you're drug tested and you're worried about that, they have a beverage. Great flavors. All over the board for cocktails. Enjoy them with the wife. Sit down. There's something for everybody. They even have a THC one that's a lemon martini that is 0 sugar. So if you're keto or you're dieting or something like that and you're really concerned about that, they have a 5 milligram THC that is 0 sugar. So that's an option out there. Their 2 milligram versions have, I believe, 6 milligrams of CBD. So those are also very balanced. They equate to like a glass of wine feeling wise. So that was what the person who started the business wanted you to be able to sit in the backyard or sit at the game or sit at a party and have the exact same feeling that you did drinking your glass of wine or your cocktail, but without the hangover, without the booze and all of that if you're trying to change your habits. So please check them out. Awesome small business. Based out of Tennessee. They're really doing some great things. And again, I can't say it enough. Their flavors are the best in the business. Let me tell you. All right. So that's drinkbetterthanbooze.com. Promo code Bulletproof. We get you 20% off. All right. Moving right along to our tight ends where points go to die. I never picked tight ends well. How am I doing so far, actually? I'm going to look. I didn't get a good one week 3. I did okay in week 2. Week 1, I don't think I did. I'm like, one of my picks was good. So listen, if you want to tell me to go screw when it comes to tight ends and not listen to me, completely understand. Brock Bowers is still the guy. McBride for Arizona, still the guy. Jake Ferguson against Green Bay, Dallas. They don't have a lot of weapons. They're going to need to throw to somebody. They got to throw to somebody. But I'm just worried that it's Green Bay's going to run over Dallas. So I would stay away from that one. I will say this. If Tucker Kraft plays for Green Bay, that could be a good one. He was limited in practice due to a knee and elbow injury. His points have been great. 9, 25, and then obviously he got injured last week, and he only on board about 6. But if he plays against Dallas, that's a good one. Keep that one. Watch that one. But you probably would be if he plays. You would get him. I'm not sold on Kelsey in Kansas City right now, especially against Baltimore. That's not going to be the one for me. My start of the week this week, just hit it. Going down the list, is going to be Tyler Warren for Indy. All right. Now, hear me out on this one because his stats are not insane. Okay. He's got 15 points, 12 points, 7 points. He was limited last week to just 7, but he's established himself as one of the more reliable fantasy tight ends, very consistent. And I think, he's going to see a bigger role in this game against the Rams. Could be a lot of points being scored. And Daniel Jones, again, is going to be looking for some secondary options and stuff, especially if they're covering Pittman really trying to lock down the wide receivers. You might see Tyler Warren coming across the middle to catch those, especially first down balls and things like that. So I'm going Tyler Warren, my start of the week, for tight end. All right. Like I said, a little bit of a limb, not I mean, I'm not going on that much of a limb, but Sam Laporta did okay last week. He's still a stud, don't get me wrong. A lot of people have been going with Hunter Henry off the waiver wire because he scored 29 points. Listen, he had 11 targets for 90 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Huge week. But be careful, because the week prior against Miami, he had 1.9 points. All right? Would everybody be picking him up if he's available? Yeah, you are. Don't get me wrong. And he's always been a good tight end. But he's very up and down. Week 1, he had 10 points. Week 2, he had, call it 2 points. And then all of a sudden, he blows up for 29. It's a good matchup against Carolina. You might want to throw him in. I'd like to see a little bit more straight consistency from him, though. All right. Juwan Johnson, I've got him plugged into most of my teams that I could pick him up, and he's been doing awesome. Very happy with the production from him. Juku, he's got a questionable tag right now for Cleveland. He has a knee issue, but he was limited in practice, which is a good sign. We'll see what happens with him. Hawkinson from Minnesota started all of a sudden doing some fun things and got 15, almost 16 points last week. Again, another guy that he's up and down, like he had 4.5, 2.2, and then all of a sudden 15.9. Do you trust it? I don't know. Again, if you start getting real lean in the tight end position, these guys have to be in your lineup anyway. So there's no other real standouts. It starts getting super dicey after that. You know, Kyle Pitts, there's nobody to throw to him. Andrews all of a sudden woke up in Baltimore again. But again, he had 1.5, 1.4, and then all of a sudden 27. You're going to have to start him, but it's a consistency problem for me. And like I said, after that, it really starts to drop off. I'd like to see Evan Ingram get a little bit involved in Denver. He's dealing with injuries. He has been for most of the season. So, I mean, he had 5 points first game, 2 points the second game. He didn't play last week. We'll see what happens this week. Check those injury reports. I'd like to see him healthy before we start throwing him into lineups. And again, that's pretty much it for your tight ends. All right. Getting into defenses. Oh, my God. Like I said, if you had Seattle, you won your game. You can thank them. They're awesome. All right. For this week, you got Buffalo against New Orleans. That's going to be a great start. Houston against Tennessee, another really good start. And Denver against Cincinnati. I really like that one. But my start of the week right now is going to be Detroit versus Cleveland. I think Detroit's going to just keep rolling. They're coming off a big win. They are going to want to just decimate Cleveland, and I don't trust Cleveland's offense. I know they won last week, but again, not sold at all. And I think Detroit just mops them up. They're projected to get 9.7 right now. I could see it being much higher than that. A couple other really good matchups is Pittsburgh against Minnesota. I know Minnesota had a good week last week, but that hasn't been their season so far. So, Pittsburgh can do it. I like Carolina versus New England. Isn't horrible. I know I have, mixed emotions there because I think, New England's going to win the game. But Carolina has shown that they can play defense, with the shutout last week. So, again, that's not a bad one at all. Baltimore against Kansas City could be interesting. Seattle against Arizona, you're starting Seattle. San Francisco against Jacksonville. This one is tough just because with Bosa out, what does that defense look like? How do they rearrange things? Listen, Harbaugh's awesome. He's going to have them going. I wouldn't be that concerned with it. And let's be honest, they're playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville's winning games here and there, but still not a great offense. So I think San Francisco will be okay, but it's a little concerning. I'd like to see how they play without Bosa. The Jets against Miami, I would stay away from that. Both teams are just going to be mucking it up. Again, after that, it kind of gets all wonky. A lot of these teams, I would stay with Chicago versus Vegas. I mean, you're a junkie if you're going with that one. And I love junkies, so don't worry. But that one's, that's just dirty. Very, very dirty. I actually have to take a shower after talking about that. All right, let's get into kickers. That's our last category for players. Matt Prater up in Buffalo against New Orleans. That one, you got him in. Bates for Detroit against Cleveland. Dickert the kicker did good for me last week. Tyler Loop against Kansas City. There could be some points being scored there, so that would be a pretty good one. McManus for Green Bay against Dallas. That's my start of the week. I think Green Bay is going to beat the ever-loving Christ out of Dallas. I think they're pissed last week, and they want to score points, so whether it's going to be field goals, these kickers are kicking from a long range, getting points, or just PATs because they're scoring so many damn touchdowns. I think Green Bay is going to do it. So Brandon McManus is going to be my start of the week for kicker. All right. I know that was kind of quick getting into that, but it's there. It's right there. All right. A couple other notables. If you really need somebody, Vegas against Chicago, you got Carlson for Vegas. He could do some good things. And also, another fun one might be Matt Gay out in Washington against Atlanta. The other ones are your standard ones. Listen, kickers, there's not a lot there as far as new blood that all of a sudden, I know that guy from Atlanta, Koo, got signed by the Giants. I don't know if he's going to start this week. I would assume he would, but that's a shitty situation up with the Giants, so I wouldn't, bet the farm there. I think Matt Gay, if you're looking for a pickup, he's available in some leagues. He's definitely not started in a lot of leagues, so he could be a good choice against Atlanta being such a bad team. And also, Washington may stall from time to time without Scary Terry, and if Daniels is injured, so they might need some longer kicks, you might get some points there. All right, so that's your kickers. Beautiful. We're moving right along, folks. I know we're going a little longer than we said we would, but I want to just make sure we hit everything. All right. Before we get into this week's matchups and games, just so you know who's playing when, our final sponsor is JollyGreenOil.com. Promo code Bulletproof gets you 10% off on all of your CBD gummies. They have Blue Lotus gummies. Their Mad Honey is phenomenal. Some of the best tasting Mad Honey gummies. My favorite is the Pina Colada. Please try that one out. I love it. But all your alternative type gummies are over at Jolly Green Oil, okay? Check out the website. They have a test that you could take to see what is the best product for you. I'm a big fan of that. So you can see, hey, listen, I never heard of Blue Lotus before. Is it even for me? I don't know what Mad Honey is. I thought Joe Rogan said something about that, but I don't know what it is. Blah, blah, blah. Perfect. Go over there, take the quiz, see what, kind of fits into your world. If you're a drug-tested person, hey, you might be looking for an alternative for some little relaxation or some sleep. They have the supplements that are there to help you out. Their customer service is phenomenal. You could reach out to them. They get back to you if you have any kind of questions or anything like that. Their shipping is on point. They get it to you quick. Comes in a discreet little package. Again, like the Mad Honey, I like taking it right before dinner. It kind of kicks in. I eat my dinner, and then I'm ready for night-night afterwards. Really slows the brain down. If you're an ADHD person, again, no science behind this, all right? It's just my own personal opinion. Really helps me settle in the evening time, and the chatter in my brain kind of goes away, which is very, very helpful. So again, that's JollyGreenOil.com. Promo code Bulletproof to get you 10% off. All right, to round the show out and end it, we got our Week 4 matchups for the NFL. All right, tonight's game, Thursday night, Seahawks-Cardinals. Seahawks take care of business. Vikings-Steelers start us off on Sunday. Remember, I'm going to say this loud. Vikings-Steelers is a 9:30 a.m. game in the morning East Coast time. All right, they're doing one of those overseas games. I believe I forget where they're playing. I think Dublin. But it is an overseas game. Starts at 9:30, so we're starting off super early. But the reason I'm saying that with big bells and whistles and fucking lights and shit, check your injury reports Early morning. Don't wait. Don't say, I got till 12 o'clock before I have to figure stuff out. If you got guys playing in the Vikings or the Steelers and are on your team, make sure you know how they are and if they're playing by 8:30, 9 o'clock latest. Don't forget, 9:30, set an alarm. All right? Then we get into our 1 o'clock games, Commanders-Falcons. I think Commanders do what they have to do. You got Chargers-Giants. Again, Chargers take care of that. Texans-Titans. I think the Texans bounce back and get a win there. Eagles-Bucks. I think that's going to be a great game. If Baker's healthy, I want to say that they're going to win, but check back with me and see if Godwin is in the lineup. If Godwin's in the lineup, I'm picking the Bucks to win that game. This is all money line, by the way. I'm not doing spreads on this. This is just who I think is going to win the games. Panthers-Patriots. The Patriots roll. Bills-Saints. I think the Bills roll. Lions-Browns. Lions got it. 49ers-Jags. I'm going Jags on this one just because the situation out in 49ers until I see that they can deal with all these injuries. I thought last week was bad, but now with Bosa out, I think the Jags can take them. Colts-Rams. I'm going Colts. I'm riding that train. I think the Rams are great. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Colts are going to roll. These are now into your 4 o'clock games. Bears-Raiders. I don't even want to pick that. Ravens-Chiefs, that's going to be a fun game. I'm going Ravens in that one. Packers-Cowboys, I think Packers bounce back, take care of business Sunday night. And then Monday night game, there's 2 of them. So be careful. Again, early start, 7:15 Eastern Coast time, Jets-Dolphins. I say this for 2 reasons. One, if you have to start somebody on the Jets and Dolphins, check to make sure that they're playing early on. Then do that like Japanese sword swallowing thing or sword stabbing where they cut your fucking head off afterwards, because I'm sorry you have to watch this game and I'm sorry you have to start players that play for these teams. I'll be watching it because I'm a Jets fan and I already do all that crap. All right, and then the other game on Monday is Bengals-Broncos, which actually could be a good game. I wish Burrow was playing because I think that's what the NFL had in mind for this game when they scheduled it was, it's going to be Bo Nix versus Joe Burrows. It isn't, so Broncos take care of business. All right, that rounds out your Week 4 matchups. All right, everybody, we kind of rolled through. Just under an hour. I said it was 40 minutes. I fucking lied. Sue me. All right? It's all good. Got a lot of information in there. Was a lot to go over. I know there's a lot of injuries and there's a lot of moving parts here, so you might want to adjust and change things and all of that. So please, look at your lineups. Watch those times for games. Again, Sunday starts early. Make sure you're checking at 8:30. Again, on Monday, there's that 7:15 game, so make sure you're checking around at least 6:30 just to make sure your guys are actually playing. All right? That's it. That's all I got for you. I hope you all are winning your leagues. I hope you're making good choices. You can reach out to me at fantasymediocrity@gmail.com if you have any specific questions, and I'll answer them in a really mediocre way. And you can tell me to go fuck myself. It happens. All right? But for Fantasy Mediocrity, my name is Jason. And go out there and win your league.